Well, welcome back, Bill.
Well, greetings. How you doing, Don?
Good. Welcome back, Buster.
Thanks for having me, Don. How are you today?
Doing good. It's been a nice day here in the Saltee Valley.
It really has. We've had so many hot days, and today it's just sitting out here on the porch, just a nice breeze. And, oh my goodness, it's just wonderful.
Got a little clouds in the sky to keep the sunshine off of you. Very mild day.
And just
today.
enough blue. When I was taking pictures of people that out here on the front, got enough blue sky mixed in with the clouds, made a beautiful picture in front of the store today. I did that. A lot of people took those pictures.
We got rain last night, and
good bit of it too.
Looks like we're going to maybe get another one later on this afternoon. So everything's been really dry, and the crops are about to come in, and we need some rain to finish that out. So hopefully that will continue over the next few days.
You know, we're being very normal because old men always talk about the weather. Isn't that what Randy Travis said?
And the old women talk about old men.
Well, then I guess I'm starting to transition into being an old man.
Yeah, you're looking old.
Because that's all I'm interested in these days is what's the weather going to be.
That and the obituaries. As you get older, you start watching the obituaries.
It's very true. I looked them up. I actually pulled up with a local funeral home today to see who was on the list.
My grandparents, the local radio station, WRWH, by the way, which Buster, I believe you used to work here.
You're bringing up memories right now about.
They have the obituaries about 3 times a day, and my grandparents would never miss that.
Yeah.
They would stop whatever they were doing to listen, and I thought that was the most creepy thing I'd ever heard.
You know, making sure they weren't on the list.
Well, I guess so, but now I'm almost as bad.
Yeah.
Hey, and if those things didn't start airing at 20 after the hour, you'd get phone calls.
Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Right.
Where are the obituaries?
Did they have creepy music playing before they announced it?
No. I don't remember.
Not intentionally creepy.
We had a station in South Georgia that they would bring on that old Hammond organ, you know, that. That's the reason people cry at funerals, because of Hammond organs. Because they get the V3 thing on, and you walk in, you don't even know who's in there, and they're going, and all of a sudden your stomach starts doing that, and you're crying. You have no idea why. Anyway.
Back then, the WRWH was just an AM station. It had fairly low power, but now they're...
That would stop broadcasting at 6 p.m. every evening.
6 p.m. Now they're FM, and they, I guess they broadcast till...
Once they started broadcasting on the FM band, you're able to pick them up a little bit down in Gainesville. So their broadcast radius has expanded in the past 5 years, but it's still very much a local station. It's not like WCON where you're going to hear them down in Atlanta. But I miss old WRWH. Y'all brought that place up. I had an opportunity to talk with Miss Bonnie. She's one of the co-owners up there, Bonnie Dyer. I had an opportunity to talk with her a few weeks ago. I was putting on a yard sale, and that was a nice, what was originally supposed to be, just going to call up, put this listing on. I ended up chatting for about 20, 30 minutes, just talking about what's been going on the last
Is old Billy still at old WCON, the old man?
He was still coming in and doing something from 5 until 6 a.m. before Kathy would come on in the morning when I was over there.
Yeah.
But by the time I'd left over there, I don't think either one of them were on in the morning anymore, and Joel was doing the morning show.
I did a few commercials and that sort of thing over there over in Haversham when I first retired and came over there. Anyway. It's amazing rabbits we can chase here, isn't it?
Heck yeah.
We had a good music session this morning.
Yeah.
I broke my instrument, so I had to go home and get it back up.
Was you break at the same place?
Same problem, different place.
I see.
What was the problem?
The tuning machines that tune the strings are not heavy duty enough for the tension that this dobro requires. I mean, that's a factory defect.
Oh, I see it right there. It's like you popped a little string.
Well, you see the left side has been changed, has metal knobs, and the right side still has the originals. And when you get it too tight or you get it really a lot of tension, they strip out. So that happened as we started, and I had to go home and get another backup, which is a little bit different, but
Electric over
Gotcha.
here, yeah.
got the job done.
That electrical dope, bro,
Isn't that
looks
cool?
pretty
Isn't that
sharp
cool looking?
from
Sounds
from
really
my
nice.
ignorant eyes.
Sounds really nice. Yeah.
Uh,
We had a good group of. I didn't get to pick much today, but I never do on Saturdays. But yeah, we had. We had several guitars in Dobro, and I guess we just had guitars in Dobro. We didn't have bass today, did we?
we did not have bass
Yeah, yeah.
today. We did have mandolin
Mandolin,
and
yeah.
a ukulele.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting instrument. All-weather ukulele.
She had a indestructible, all-weather, waterproof ukulele.
Oh man.
And we started down the road of that you could take that into the shower with you, and then we
Yeah.
started getting these visuals that
You didn't
we
necessarily
didn't
want to
want.
see.
So we stopped that. But it would be pretty cool if you wanted to take it down the river.
That would be pretty
Yeah.
neat.
And get yourself in a kayak and just get rolling and just. Yeah,
I
man.
wonder if they make a banjo in that.
Oh, I imagine they do.
Out of all the instruments to make indestructible, somebody at that company decided the ukulele's
Well,
got to
it's,
be the one.
it's small and easy to handle. And one of our customers just walking by, old Fife, the local salty dog.
Every time I hear the word ukulele, I think of Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Old
Tiny
Tiny
Tim.
Tim.
Tiny Tim.
Oh my goodness!
Didn't he sing really high like
Yeah,
He,
this?
and he had
Had a
real long hair
A
too.
vibrato, yeah. That's right. Hey man, hey, we got our own Tiny Tim right here.
I'd like to
He's
think
already
I'm a
proven-
little bit more masculine than Tiny Tim.
Yeah,
but,
we-
Yeah, I think he had probably pretty good bank account though. You know,
well, you
and
know,
so it made him some money.
we can't all come up with a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Speaking of the river, Buster, you do some stuff on the river. It's kind of interesting. We mentioned one of the previous episodes. Tell us about it.
Usually about 2 to 3 times a week. If it's really busy, I'll try to get up there 4 times. But I like to throw me on a pair of goggles and a snorkel and a little long sleeve shirt to kind of protect you from rashes. And I like to go scuba the river, find jewelry, find phones, treasure hunt basically. And I haven't been up there in the past few days, so pickings have been slim for me. However, my friend that I do this hobby with, he's found 6 iPhones up there and 6 wedding rings just this week.
Wow.
But his situation's slightly different than mine because whereas I just go up there with swim trunks and a snorkel and I just find what I can see with my eyes, he can hit more shallow spots in the river because he takes a metal detector up there. And some of those shallow spots, there's a spot over there close to Ridge Road. There's apartments or condominiums that people rent out. And it's a great spot where folks get turned over in their tubes and stuff. But it's a little bit too shallow for somebody to be swimming around in there. So he'll go up there with his metal detector and he can just stand, he can post up, and that thing will start screaming at him if it picks something up, and it'll give him a rough estimate of what the shape of the item is. And I swear he's fishing with dynamite with that thing. For every phone that I have found this summer, late spring and summer, I would say he's found 5. And I have found a bracelet, and that is it as far as jewelry goes for me. But that little metal detector is a game changer. But as he told me when I first started doing this back in early May, he's like, you've got to earn your turn. It's one of these things that I don't know if there's any hard fact to that statement. Maybe it's just kind of a good vibe sort of thing, but you're not going to find anything like I don't know, the river's not going to bestow a whole bunch of gifts onto you as a rookie. And you just got to keep trucking away, keep going up there. And as you get better, as you know which spots of the river to really pay closer attention to and which ones to just move on past, you will get better and you will find more stuff. And I guess my buddy has been proven correct in that regard, because it has gotten better, I guess, as the summer's gone along. I've gotten more efficient in the process. I know what little honey holes or spots that I can hit, what's good for the way I'm looking, snorkeling. You get better, you know what spots not to waste time in, you know what spots to really pay close attention to. And with each passing week, I've gotten a little bit better, you know. I was up there last week and I myself found 3 iPhones, a nice little sterling silver bracelet, and I'm drowning in sunglasses, folks. I'll bring just my box up here and let y'all pick through them.
Well, what about the people that lost that? Do they have an avenue for them to say, hey, I lost this in the river?
Now, I will give you an example specific to phones, and especially iPhones. I, myself, always try to plug the iPhone up, see if there's any sort of an emergency contact listed. And I know another thing you can do with iPhones, you can make it lost phone status or whatever on another Apple device, and that'll pop up a message on the home screen, usually, you know, listing some sort of phone number to call, because I have found 3 phones this year that I've been able to return to the
That's cool. That's what I was thinking, yeah.
return to the original owner. And I'm not much of a religious man, but I do believe in good karma. I think, you know, when I find these things, if there's an effort to be made to return them to their original owners, that's always my first instinct. But you'd be surprised how many people take these $1,000 electronic devices out on the river and they've got no sort of any sort of contact information on that phone for if it's lost, how can I get back in touch
When I
with the
first moved to
original
Florida,
person?
I'd been given a really nice, expensive watch. I was very proud of it, and I didn't know anything about divers. I just lived there a short time. I got on a boat one day to go out and sing, and when I got on the boat, it had one of those snap bands on it, and it caught. And that expensive watch, I watched it go right down, just like the Titanic. You remember when
that old lady
dropped that? My watch went right down there. Well, I had a group of people. I didn't want to stop. I just said, okay, I lost the watch and move on. I found out later when I actually mentioned this to people. Well, if you'd have told us, we had divers right there, could have gone and got it for you. I didn't know, you know, and so I just had to leave it go. But yeah, so you should have been there with me. Of course, you probably weren't born yet, but that has been a long time ago. No, you weren't born yet.
Hey, when you've got a pair of goggles on and you dip below that water, it's high definition, baby. You can see the bottom crystal clear. I actually the week before last, I was up there, you know, kind of swimming around, digging around, and I saw a family, and the dad had asked to keep an eye out for a set of keys with a white and green lanyard on it. And he kind of gave me a rough estimate of where the river it would be. And about 35 minutes later, I found those keys clear as day. Yeah. And fortunately, him and his wife and his youngin were still kind of milling around, I guess kind of waiting to see if I'd
find anything.
And fortunately, I did.
That's cool.
And they were able to not have to call a locksmith or something. But it really amazes me because I try to avoid like tubing hours or whatever. So either get up there in the morning before they start sending them down, or get up there right at the in the evening when they stop sending them.
Well, just in case somebody's listening that's not from this area, that's the Chattahoochee River we're talking about.
Correct.
As in way down upon the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, way down on the
Scuba the Hooch.
Yeah.
And there's been a few times that maybe I slept in a little bit late and I got up there a little bit later than I should for the morning shift, so to speak. And you'll see a bunch of tubers out there. Every one of them's got their phone out. either playing music, taking selfies, taking videos, or whatever. And
Do they put them in? Do they put them in those waterproof?
occasionally
Cases?
you'll see those, and I love those because it makes them very easy
Easy
to
to
spot
find,
the
yeah.
phones on the bottom.
That's funny.
It's like, how did you lose this? It comes with a leash and you still lost it. But not as many as you would think. A lot of folks out there that just have that phone.
Well, the Chattahoochee is
exposed
just
to-
so much part of our community for fishing. And you fish the Chattahoochee any?
occasionally. I see a lot of fishers.
Yeah, there's a lot of
out
guys
there.
fishing. I love to watch them. I haven't fished it. I might have 30 years ago. I don't remember because I did a little bit of that. But yeah, I love to watch them fish, and I'll spend a half a day watching them, and occasionally they catch something. You know. I guess
Every
they catch
time I
quite a bit.
go up there in the evening, I always cross paths with
Yeah, yeah.
somebody fishing, and I
Yeah.
always just stick my head out. Hey, I'm just keeping it moving. I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
out
yeah.
of your way. Just
Yeah.
give me 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then you'll end up chatting with them for a few minutes. And I don't know. It's fun because it does have that element of treasure hunting and finding something, even when it's as something as little as finding a Bic lighter or whatever. It's like, I found this. This is cool. So some sort of weird itch is getting scratched, but just from the meditative qualities.
Yeah.
It's like once your head goes below that water,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
outside world is nothing.
Yeah.
It's just you and your thoughts, and you're looking around, and just like meditation, when you're focusing on that one sound, when you're under the water, you're not thinking about work or what you got to do the next day. You're just focused on the singular goal. Keep your head on a swivel. Let's find something.
Don, you probably spent a lot of time on that river, haven't you?
Not as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
I too want to get into the fly fishing,
Yeah.
and every year I say this is the year I'm going to do it. And year goes by and I haven't done it, but as it cools off, I think I'm going to start giving that a shot over near the
Every
store
time I
here.
fly fish, I do catch a lot of tree bass.
Tree bass,
Tree
yeah.
bass, yeah.
They're hard to clean.
Yeah. And yeah,
They don't taste.
yeah, they don't taste near as good.
So we also, which is also a good excuse to go fishing, but we planted a little patch of Native American corn over on the river, just below the store here, and that should be ready to harvest in about 60 days. So if you don't, I always heard it as a child, Indian corn. So if you don't know what that is, if you're listening, it's a multicolored corn, and I guess they ate it and made meal and things out of it back in the day, but mostly I remember it just being decorative because it's
That's
so
how I
pretty,
remember it.
and it just dried and
How does it? Is that a particular species or is that across something? or-
we have about 5 or 6 varieties planted, so we ought to have a whole bunch of colors, and we also planted some popcorn, and
It was hot enough last week.
Yeah, it probably
to cook it.
popped.
Yeah.
but anyway, that's about 60 days out, and then we got to figure out what to do with it. Last year we planted a whole field of tobacco, and now we have a whole barn full of tobacco. We don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But you mentioned doing that as
Yeah, I
growing
did
up.
as a kid. Yeah, I lived in the Midwest, but the Midwest had what they call tobacco bases, X number of acres you could plant. And one of the old farmers up there had, well, several of them up there near Kansas City had tobacco bases, and I would go out and I learned to cut it and spear it. And I was the little guy, so they put me in the top of the barn to hang it. And the sticks would be about 3 feet long, something like that, and wide, and you'd have maybe, I've forgotten, 6 or 8 leaves on the stalks on each one, and you'd hang them across the rafters of the barn. And I was a little guy, so I was at the top where it was the hottest.
Oof.
But the guys down the bottom were the ones that got all the trash in their face, the dirt and that sort of thing off the leaves and things like that. So it was a catch-22.
Now, what is the process between, all right, you've harvested your tobacco. What is the steps that you take between that and you've got some ready to go pipe tobacco?
Well, let's back up to the harvesting. 'Cause
Okay.
these plants are about as tall as you are,
Wow.
and so you go through the field with a machete, or there's actually a special. There's like an axe,
Yeah,
but,
axe.
but it's a tobacco knife, and you chop the stalk at the ground as close to as you can.
Okay.
And Bill mentioned spears, so you have a whole wagon load or trailer load of sticks, probably 5 feet tall.
Okay.
And
Anything off of these
Nope,
sticks?
just sticks look like yardsticks,
Okay.
or maybe they're round, but they're about a little bit longer than the yardstick. And you stick those in the ground, and in front of where you're cutting,
Mm-hmm.
and they have these metal tips, look like cones,
Okay.
but they're made out of metal and they're sharp
right.
on the end. And you put one of those cones on top of the stick that's the other end is in the ground.
Okay.
And so when you chop that stalk of tobacco, you just take that whole stalk and you just slam it down on that top of that metal spike and push it down to the bottom of the stick.
Gotcha.
So when you get about 5, 6 stalks
Mm-hmm.
and your stick is full, you take your cone off, cap, spear, and put it on the next stick.
Okay.
And then you pull that stick up with the tobacco on it and put that on your trailer. And that, as Bill said, when you get to your barn, your drying barn, tobacco barn, then those sticks hang up and the stalks hang down to till they dry.
Okay.
So we did practice rolling cigars. And we've had limited success.
Your American fingers just
Well,
can't do
we,
it.
we bought a little mechanical machine, or not a mechanical machine, but a machine that that helps, but still getting them consistent is hard. But the interesting thing, these leaves are hanging in the barn
How long do they hang for typically?
probably 3 to 6 months
Wow.
over the winter.
It's got to dry.
So that's
too,
pretty-
It's gotta
that's
be
pretty
really
good.
dry.
But when you get
long
ready to
curing
roll
period.
it or chop it or whatever you're going to do, if it's really dry, if the weather's really dry and you touch it, it just crumbles.
Ooh,
But like today, with the rain this morning and
a little bit of humidity
in the air, you can just, it's pliable. You can roll it. But if you wait till next week when it's dry, you can't do that. So you have to do that. Now, if you're going to make pipe tobacco or cigarette tobacco, you're going to crumble it anyway. But
What about like chewing tobacco, like Red Man or whatever? Are they picking like wet, fresh tobacco and putting that in the pouch?
I would say they
or-
were taking this same tobacco and adding some liquid to it, some type
I
of
think that's what
moisture.
they do. They do
content.
it like they're. I'm sure it's cut a little differently, but it's the same as the idea when you're doing a cigarette tobacco or that sort of thing, except maybe a little bit coarser, and that's when they add their. What do they add?
I don't know what they
A
add.
gum of some sort or something into it, to pliable oil or whatever it is. I've never really chewed tobacco. Matter of fact, I don't remember if I ever had.
I did as a young person. That's a nasty habit. It's hard to quit.
My son, who you know, he came home one day sick, and he told us that he'd drank some soda pop from the local guy and it made him sick. Come to find out, when I went up and talked to this local guy, he'd bought up some Red Man, and I just let him stay sick, just say, man, deal with it. I don't think he's chewed that stuff since,
Well, I can remember when I was younger, I wasn't I wasn't bright then, but when I was a kid, I had the hardest time reconciling that the chewing tobacco that my grandpa chewed and the cigarette that my grandma smoked were the same, were the same substance, the same plant or whatever.
I had a guy one time out here on the front porch. He was in a rocking chair, and he said, I offered him some cider. And he said, man, I can't drink your cider. I just put a fresh chaw in. And I said, that'll make it taste better. He took a drink of that cider, and he says, you know what did?
Oh, man.
But yeah, we're trying to do plant some things that we can learn about and enjoy looking at, if nothing else, that used to be growing around here, and that no longer is, or very little, if any. And trying to hang on to some of that heritage and history that we've seen. So it's fun.
Have you put any thought into what's on the agenda for 2025 Don Allison Heritage Agricultural Project?
Yeah, we just have to see what's legal by then. It's it'll be something old, something that they used to grow. That we'll see. We did when we did the tobacco. We did have help. We had the local county agent, but we had a tobacco specialist from University of North Carolina and one from University of Georgia. So they came and
representative literally from Tobacco Road.
Yeah, they knew their stuff, and we learned a lot in the planting and in fact they
I'm gonna have to go check this barn out.
Yeah.
Camels are getting to be too pricey. So I'm going over to Don's house this week.
Well, maybe we'll bring some up here. I'll let you try it next time.
We got some candy cigarettes there in the store.
They're hard to light,
Yeah.
They really are.
Boy, that was a big thing when I was a kid, have a candy cigarette. Of course, we got a lot of old-time candy in the store.
Yeah.
They were already starting to phase out candy cigarettes by the time I was a youngster.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure so. But, I mean, that was a big thing. And I don't know what we get for a box. I think it was like 10, maybe a nickel or 10 cents. You get a pack of cigarettes, and they were made very much like the ones we got now have unusual, different labels on them. But the ones we got back then had the very similar to the Lucky Strikes and the Chesterfields and the various kinds we had back there, and that was a big deal because everybody, I guess they knew cigarette smoking wasn't really good for your health, but
everybody did it.
Everybody did it, and so it was just my dad was a barber. I can see him with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth while he's cutting somebody's hair, and I would filter out the ashtrays as a boy. Take a little tea sieve, and I would shake out all the cigarette butts and throw them out with the hair from the barber shop. And candy cigarettes are a big deal. And of course, now if you got caught with them in school, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. And we have a lot of old-fashioned candy here in the store besides.
Oh yeah, as
cigarettes.
a matter of fact, that's hardly anything really.
So this morning I was at the Tractor Supply. I was having to pick up something. And I was standing in line, and there was a guy in front of me, and he wasn't old, but he wasn't a kid either. He was, probably in his 30s, maybe your guys' age. And he had two small children with him, and he was telling them that the candy that Tractor Supply had, he said, this is the old kind of candy. This is what my daddy and my grandparents had. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was just normal candy, but I didn't say anything, but I thought, well, you hadn't seen anything about old candy.
Yeah.
Come up
well, taffy is probably the number one. I mean, people come in and buy taffy like crazy here, but there are some candies that I remember as a child that are here, and we got some really cool new stuff. That new one, I don't remember the name of it, but it's that red velvet chocolate is slap good. Now it's a great new candy. She just brought those in last few weeks, and I bought a few of those to give us to family members, particularly my wife. She likes those candy.
Heck yeah.
But,
well, fellas, it seems like the weather's about to shift on us in a bad way. How's about we wrap this thing
the
up?
wind's picking up. I think we're going to get that out of the shower here in a little bit.
yeah.
Good deal. Now, next week, we were going to do it this week, but somebody, I'm not going to say who, didn't do their research. But we're going to talk about some troll dolls next week.
Is that right?
I believe so. So, Don, don't forget.
Now, I had people this week asking about trolls, and of course, we got one in there to make them find it. I said he's hiding, and I had an old man look at that troll was as close as I am to you, and he couldn't find it for nothing. It was hilarious. And finally, I said, "Turn around," and the troll's looking right at him, But anyway, he's hiding around there. If you want to come and find the troll, you're welcome to.
Heck yeah. Well, Don, Bill, thanks for having me today.
Thank you, Buster. God bless you, man.
This has been the Front Porch Podcast, recorded live every Saturday at the Old Saltee store. I'm Buster Talent. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye now. Take care.